Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1, or shall I say, Stop and Go F2. Don't worry, that notification was on my computer, not on yours. Let's talk about Formula 2 for the Austrian Grand Prix. Before we do though, remember to like and subscribe, and a big thank you to our members, Dakota and the Joyous James, who have joined the membership at AI Racing World Champion level and above. If you want to have a little shout out in the videos, you can join too. Link in the description. The Euro Marshal tier starts at 99p. And then if you want to have your shout-outs, it's AI Racing and above. Anyway, let's get into Formula 2 sprint race. Yesterday, it was Cush Miney on pole, Ollie Bearman alongside, and as the lights go out, Ollie Bearman is able to take the lead immediately, with Marti jumping up to P2. And then, I've written something down here. No idea what it is. Barnard is now challenging for P2, but gets pushed down to P4. That's what I've written down there. Ollie Bearman built up a really big lead at the start of this race, and I was really rather concerned that maybe he was just burning his tyres at the start of the race, and towards the end, it did come back, and that gap did cut down, but Ollie was able to manage it pretty well. There's a battle for third place though, and it's a pretty heated one between Miney, Barnard, Aaron and Bortoleto, all fighting for third place there. Aaron gets past Barnard for fourth on lap 7, and now Marti has cut down that lead to Ollie Bearman to within 1 second. Further back, Bortoleto gets past Barnard for P5, and Barnard just goes backwards from here. What I said Bearman might have done is what Barnard did do. His tyre's just gone. So Bortoleto gets past him on lap 9, Colapinto is past him on lap 11, Hauger is past him on lap 16, and he just continues his journey further back, getting passed by Crawford, O'Sullivan. Barnard just having a tough time in the sprint. Very much like in Formula 3, also here in Formula 2, the tyres really just being cooked, especially in both feature and the sprint. I mean, the benefit of the F2 sprint is there is a mandatory pit stop, which they don't have in F3. And in F3, we just saw those tyres be ripped apart by this track, whereas here they were able to manage them a little bit better because they had that pit stop. Aaron passes Miney for P3 on lap 21, and Bortoleto also passes Miney as well for P4 on the same lap. Miney says over the radio that Aaron hit him, but when we see the helicopter shot from above, I mean, there was a little bit of contact there for sure, but it does not look like it was anything big enough to actually have any effect on him realistically, especially not to lead to him losing 2 places. I would think that was just more his pace and where he was than anything else. Hauger is able to pass Dirksen now for P7 on lap 24, and Aaron is under a lot of pressure from Bortoleto, but is managed to keep P3. And then Hauger passes Miney for P6 on lap 27, and then Colapinto, who is doing quite well up until this point, has an issue and has spun and pretty much at the end of the race. But as we cross the line, Ollie Bearman wins a race in Formula 2 in 2024. Unbelievable stuff. Pepe Marti is P2, Paul Aaron in P3, meaning that Paul Aaron has been on the podium at least once in every race weekend so far this year. Amazing consistency from Aaron, who continues to lead the Formula 2 Championship despite not winning a race so far this year. Bortoleto was 4th, Hauger 5th, Crawford 6th, Miney 7th, Dirksen 8th, O'Sullivan 9th, and Victor Martins comes home in 10th. Just on Bearman, obviously had a difficult year. There have been moments where he has shined, getting the pole in Saudi, then getting called up to the F1 and doing very well in the F1. He looked good in Imola until the pit stop incident, and here I thought for sure something was going to go wrong, but it didn't go wrong for him in the sprint at least, and he does get a win here this year. Very happy for him there. Hopefully he can get a bit more momentum here and carry on and get a few more points before the end of the year, because it's looking pretty, I reckon, this time next week, we'll know that he's in the Haas. I think they're waiting for the British Grand Prix to announce that he will be in the Haas next year. So, this is his last F2 year. He's not going to win the title, but let's see if we can get a few more race wins. So, going into the feature, it is Dennis Hauger on pole. Dirksen alongside. Championship leader Paul Aaron is in 5th. Isaac Hadjar is 2nd in the championship. He's 7th on the grid. Realistically, though, he has a lot more pace than 7th. He did have provisional pole during qualifying, and his engine blew up at the halfway point, and he just dropped down the grid to 7th as everyone got faster. So realistically, that's not a real representation of where he should be, 7th. Zane Maloney is 3rd in the championship, but is starting 20th in this race. A bad weekend for Zane Maloney. Now, before the race even gets going on the formation lap, our pole sitter Dennis Hauger stalls on the grid and will now have to go from pole position to starting in pit lane. Miney and Crawford also stall on the grid, so they start from pit lane as well. But Hauger will be starting behind them because as he goes into pit lane, the team decide that they're going to change his tyres, change him over to the alternative strategy and try and recover something from this race. So Dirksen now, not actually on pole, starting in the 2nd place box, butts to the first car and gets away well and keeps the lead. Maloney comes into the pits on lap 1. Something wrong with that car for sure. We'll see again later that he's basically out of the race. Dirksen now is getting a lot of pressure from Bortoleto on lap 3, and 1 lap later Bortoleto was able to take the lead away from him. Colapinto then passes Dirksen for P2 on lap 6, and further back Bearman gets past Pepe Marti for P6. Zane Maloney now stops the car, pulls over. This brings out a virtual safety car, and Pepe Marti pits. Now, we know the rule is if the virtual safety car is out, you're not allowed to pit. Now, it looks like Marti pits just before the safety car comes out, the virtual safety car that is, and it looks like he'll be okay, but it is under investigation still after this race, so there still could be repercussions for this. We don't know. The fact that it's taken this long really takes the mick, considering it takes about 23 laps for them to announce that they're even looking into it, and then they say that it'll happen after the race. And, you know, it could have had serious repercussions for the podium and all that kind of stuff, so a bit lackluster for the F2 stewards there. Meanwhile, the virtual safety car ends. Dirksen comes to the pits on lap 7. Bortoleto's under a lot of pressure from Colapinto, and he pits from the lead. We also get pit stops for Hadjar, Barnard, Antonelli and Verschoor. Antonelli, though, stalls in the pit lane. The Prema team try and get that car restarted, but they really struggle. It takes them a long time to restart the car. So when Antonelli comes out again of the pits, he is in last place and about 25 seconds behind 20th. So Antonelli very much out of this race from here. Aaron and Hauger pit on lap 10. Miato is able to pass Stanek on lap 14. We get a 5-second penalty for Paul Aaron. So this was due to a battle between him and Hadjar, where Aaron was changing direction under braking. The stewards say that was too much. 5-second penalty for Aaron. Stanek and Villa Gomez are having a little fight here. Villa Gomez is trying to go around the outside of Stanek, and Stanek pushes him too far into the gravel. Miata at one point going slow down the start-finish straight, but then is able to get the car going again. Not sure what happened there. We have a 5-second penalty for Correa for crossing the white line at the pit lane, and then Bortoleto is able to pass Pepe Marti for P7 on lap 20. Ollie Bearman at this point is running the alternative strategy. He's sitting in P2. He's about 3 or 4 seconds off the back of Colapinto before there is an issue with the car and he has to retire from the race. So, very good in the sprint, but the Ollie Bearman luck is back again for the feature. Now, I'm not saying that he could have won this race. I don't think he would have at all. I don't think he would have challenged even for the podium or the top 4. But with Aaron's penalty, who knows, maybe P5, P6, P7, I think is where he would have finished. Some good points for him nonetheless, but not on for today. Sorry, I've got a cough now. Unbelievable scenes. I can't believe it. Now, the biggest story of the race. Marti and Hadjar, the two Campos racing drivers. So at this point of the race, it is Marti ahead of Hadjar. And Hadjar is all over the radio saying how much faster he is than Marti, and how Marti needs to let him through, and how Marti didn't defend against Bortoleto, but now Marti is defending harshly against him. It's a whole thing. The team eventually go through to Marti and say, look, we're not telling you what to do, but if you don't mind, please, could you let Hadjar through, please? Maybe, please? And I think that the team orders worked, and Hadjar did let Marti through. He made it relatively easy for him after that on lap 27. This is when we get announced, by the way, that Marti is under investigation for the virtual safety car infringement, like 23 laps after. O'Sullivan pits from lap 32. Lap 32 from P5. And now we go back to Marti and Hadjar, where Hadjar hasn't been able to catch up the back of Bortoleto, and Marti is just right behind him, just waiting for something to happen. Hadjar's over the radio saying, the reason I can't catch you is because I was stuck behind Marti for too long and now my tyres are cooked. And Marti's on the radio like, this guy's slow. Why did you tell me to let him go through? What the hell's going on here? So basically for the last quarter of the race, the highlights are basically the Campos team radios because they're just bitching about each other for the entire time. Colapinto pits from the lead now on lap 33, comes out in 8th but is now on the super soft tyres and has tremendous speed. Cordial and Crawford pit as well. Fittipaldi gets past Dirksen for P5 on lap 34, and by lap 36, Colapinto has gone from P8 up to P5, passing Dirksen and Fittipaldi. Now Hadjar and Marti are bitching about each other again, and Marti is basically saying, you told me to let him through, he's slow, let me back through. Colapinto now passes Aaron for P4 on lap 38 of 40 and is seriously closing in on these Campos drivers who are just fighting with each other over the team radio. And by lap 39, Colapinto is able to go round the outside of Marti, round turn 4 for P3, and then a lap later does the exact same thing to get Hadjar for P2. That was on the final lap. And as we're coming across the line, Gabriel Bortoleto wins. The Formula 3 champion takes his first ever Formula 2 win. Colapinto takes P2. And the big question is, who will finish P3 between Hadjar and Marti? Marti's over the radio like, look, I let him through because he said he could go and get the winner. He can't get the winner. Give me my place back. Give me my podium back. Hadjar does not. Hadjar crosses the line and finishes third. And Marti, the world's most furious little boy, finishes fourth. Aaron is fifth, despite his penalty. Doesn't really matter because Fittipaldi was so far behind in sixth. Dirksen seventh, Cordial eighth, Barnard ninth, and Correa in 10th. So Marti is still under investigation for the virtual safety car thing. So who knows which way that'll go. I feel like he should get away with it. I think he hadn't gone in when it came out, but there you go. F2 hero, I'm going to give to Bortoleto. His first F2 win, and he managed it really well. Also, he finished fourth in the sprint race, so good points all around. He's really a contender now in this F2 championship. Marti did well across the whole weekend as well. I mean, realistically, that could have been 2 podiums for him if it had gone his way in the Campos inter-team fighting there. But overall, a good weekend of Formula 2. Like I said, Bortoleto, F2 hero. We'll be back later on today for all things F1. I, for one, cannot wait. I will see you there. Until then, though, have a good one. Goodbye.